India is one country, one constitution. Yet some parts of India look completely different from others. A person living in Bangalore earns 3 to 4 times more than a person living in Delhi doing the same job. A factory in Tamil Nadu produces 40% more output than a factory in Uttar Pradesh with same investment. Technological companies in Hyderabad are worth more than the entire industrial clusters in the north. And the infrastructure roads in Bangalore are similar to developed nations, but roads in Bihar, they look like they are from developing nations. In fact, in several development indicators, the gap between some southern and northern states is enormous. Did South India simply get lucky, or did it make a series of decisions decade ago that completely changed its future? Today I am breaking down the economic reality that will clear how South India got more economically developed than North India and why this gap keeps widening. First, what does better mean economically? Before comparing South India and North India, we first need to understand what better actually means, because bigger doesn't always mean better. North India has a larger population, so naturally its total economy is larger. One earns 1 lakh a month and has 10 members. The other earns 80,000 a month but has 3 members. Which family is better off? Probably the second one, because each person has access to more money, better education, better healthcare, and a higher quality of life. The same logic applies to states. That's why economists always doesn't look at total GDP. They look at how much the average person earns, how many good jobs are created, how strong the infrastructure is, how much investment comes in, and how productive business are. When we compare North and South India using these measures, a very different picture emerges. Per capita income, the biggest difference. It tells us how much an average person in a state earns in a year, and this is where the gap between the North and the South India gets impossible to ignore. In Tamil Nadu, the average person earns 3.62 lakh per year. In Karnataka, it is 3.25 lakh. In Telangana, 3.18, and in Kerala, 3 lakh. Now compare that with Uttar Pradesh at 1.4 lakh, Madhya Pradesh at 1.5 lakh, Rajasthan at 1.7 lakh, and Bihar at less than 1 lakh. The difference is enormous. The average resident in Tamil Nadu earns more than twice what the average resident of Uttar Pradesh earns, and nearly 4 times what the Bihar average resident earns. And this isn't just about spending power. Higher income means better education, healthcare, housing, and opportunity. More important, the gap compounds over time. If one person from Bangalore earns 3.6 lakh a year and another person from Uttar Pradesh earns 1.4 lakh a year, after 10 years the first person would have earned 36 lakh while the second would have earned only 14 lakh. After 20 to 30 years, that difference becomes life changing. That's why per capita income matters. It doesn't just show who is richer today, it also shows which region is creating more wealth for future generations. And on this metric, South India has built a massive lead, but that lead wasn't created by one leader, one policy, or one lucky break. It was built over decades through a series of decisions whose impact can still be seen today. So where did this story begin? It started with education. Most people think South India became rich because of IT, but it was the result, not the cause. The real story began decades earlier with education. States like Kerala, Tamil Nadu, Karnataka, and later Telangana invested heavily in school, colleges, and technical education. Literacy improved, more students entered higher education, and over time South India developed something incredibly valuable, pool of skilled workers. This mattered because factories and roads can be built in a few years, but skilled people takes decades to develop. So when global companies started to look at India in the 1990s, South India already had a major advantage. Cities like Bengaluru had major engineering talent thanks to institutions such as IISc, NIT, Anna University, and hundreds of engineering colleges across the region. And just as South India was producing skilled workers, a new opportunity emerged, the IT revolution. The timing couldn't have been better. As computers, software, and internet spread across the world, companies in Europe and America need millions of skilled workers. Hiring them locally was expensive, so they started outsourcing work. India became one of the biggest destinations, and because South India already had the talent these companies needed, cities like Bengaluru get a huge head start. Soon software development, engineering services, and technology operations started moving there. Then Hyderabad followed, then Chennai. Over the next 2 decades, these cities became some of the world's largest technology hubs. But the biggest impact wasn't technology itself, it was the wealth that came with it. For the first time, millions of Indians gained access to high-paying jobs connected to the global economy, and that money spread throughout local economies, boosting housing, education, healthcare, and businesses. Entire cities expanded rapidly, and once a region starts creating wealth at this scale, something interesting happens. Industries starts following the money, and that's exactly what happened next. As South India became wealthier, it started attracting more than just technology companies. Manufacturers arrived because manufacturers look for the same thing as technology companies: skilled workers, reliable infrastructure, efficient supply chain, and a stable business environment. South India had spent decades building these advantages, and companies took notice. Today the region dominates industries like automobiles, electronics, textile, engineering products, and precision manufacturing. Around 60% of the India's automobile production comes from the south, with Chennai earning the name Detroit of India. And this created another powerful cycle. More investment created more jobs created more income, and more income attracted more investment. But manufacturing wasn't the only advantage that South India had. There was another factor quietly helping it. Population may not sound exciting, but it played a major role. For decades, southern states reduced fertility rates faster than most northern states. That meant families can spend more on better education, better healthcare, and better nutrition. Governments also faced less pressure on schools, schools, hospitals, and public services. Instead of constantly trying to keep up with population growth, they could focus on improving quality. Over time, those advantages compounded. A better educated population attracted more investment, which created even more opportunities. And South India had one more advantage working in its favor: geography. Unlike most of northern India, South India has a long coastline, and that matters because global trade depends on ports. Cities like Chennai, Kochi, Visakhapatnam, and Tuticorin connects Indian businesses direct to international market. For exporters, this means low transportation cost, faster delivery, and better competitiveness. Of course, geography alone doesn't create prosperity, but when combined with skilled workers, strong industries, and growing investments, it becomes a powerful advantage. And over time, all these advantages started showing up in something people notices every day: infrastructure. You have seen when a state attracts more investment, creates more jobs, and generate more tax revenue, it can invest more in roads, airports, metro systems, ports, and power infrastructure. And that's exactly what happened across much of South India. Cities like Bengaluru, Hyderabad, Chennai, and Kochi spent decades building infrastructure that supports economic growth. And business notice these things because every power cut means lost production, traffic delay means higher cost, and every inefficient port means slower exports. That's why infrastructure isn't just about convenience, it's about competitiveness. The easier it is to move people, goods, and services, the easier it becomes for business to grow. And that's one reason companies continue choosing South for new investment. But does this mean North India is falling behind? No, and this is where many people misunderstand the story. This isn't about South India winning and North India losing. It's about understanding why some regions develop faster than others. Because despite its challenges, North India has enormous strength: a massive population, huge consumer market, a young workforce, and some of India's most important economic centers. In fact, many economists believe North India could become India's next major growth engine. But to do that, it needs to build the same advantage that helped South India to move ahead: better education, strong infrastructure, more manufacturing, and more high-paying jobs. Because economic success isn't permanent. Regions can rise and regions can fall. The lesson from South India's story is simple: the gap exists today not because one region is superior, but because one region started building earlier. If you enjoy this kind of business and economic videos, subscribe to the channel and hype the video, and I will see you in the next video. Till then, tata, bye bye.